Time to pull up a chair because Insightful Tales has another great story for you today. It all starts with a classic tale of estrangement. Our bride barely knows her dad, thanks to a messy divorce and a stepmom who's about as welcoming as a cactus in a desert. Today, the bride pops the question, will dad walk her down the aisle? Drum roll, please. My dad, 55, won't walk me down the aisle, 30, female, and I want to know if I should uninvite him from the wedding. I, 30, female, am getting married in about a month to my best friend, 35, male. I did not grow up knowing my dad, 55, very well, as he and my mom divorced when I was an infant. He remarried and had several kids with his new wife, who hates my very existence. There were a lot of hurtful things done when I was growing up, like not being allowed in her house when I visited, that led me to be estranged from my father. He never really made much of an effort, but after I turned 18, I completely cut him off for my mental health and stopped answering the few calls he attempted. He tried to get in contact every once in a while over the years, but I honestly just ignored him. I was hurt and angry. About a year ago, I got back in contact with some extended family on his side, and we have been forging a good bond. I invited them all to our wedding, and they have been amazing. Eventually, I started speaking with my dad as well. Back around Christmas, it was tense at first, but I decided to give him a chance. We have slowly been getting a semblance of a relationship back, and I saw him in person with my fiancé a couple of months ago. His wife is not pleased at all, and apparently, his kids, my half-siblings, all adults, are also upset about it. I think there were threats of divorce, but my dad still decided to go to my wedding. After a ton of thought, I asked my dad if he wanted to walk me down the aisle, as I had been hopeful for a better relationship, but he turned me down. I wouldn't be as upset if he gave a generic excuse, but he told me his wife and other daughter requested he does not walk me down the aisle, as that is reserved for his other daughter and not me. I am super hurt and not even sure what to reply to that with. He offered to stand at the front and give me away instead, but that isn't what I want. My fiancé thinks we should uninvite him and move on, but I'm not sure if that is the best course of action. He's coming from out of state with the rest of his family, so he already bought a plane ticket and hotel room. Part of me thinks to just politely turn him down, have him as a regular guest, and then just stop talking to him again after the wedding. My mom isn't coming to my wedding because she lives really far away, so I don't really have any other immediate family coming. I'm not sure what the best course of action is, and the wedding is getting super close, so I have to make a decision soon. Edit. Wow, this post has blown up. Thank you all so much for the advice and comforting words. To answer some common questions, no, his wife and my half-siblings are not attending the wedding. I invited them, but they won't even meet me, let alone go to the wedding. He has 2 sons and a daughter with his new wife, all in their 20s. I'm not sure if my dad cheated on my mom with my stepmom. My mom, through all her faults, never actually said a bad word about him. He did marry my stepmom by the time I was 2 years old though, so there wasn't much time between marriages. They are also very Christian in the worst way, as in they don't really follow what they claim to believe. My mom cannot fly as she has panic attacks. She also is actually a worse parent than my dad in a lot of ways, believe it or not. I have no male relatives to walk me down the aisle. I also never wanted him to give me away, as I think that is dumb. I just wanted my dad to act like my dad for one moment. My fiancé and I have decided to walk down together. The aisle together, as one of you suggested, so that part is settled. I'll update everyone once I decide what to do and if there's any response. Now, let's check in for some relevant comments. First up, do you want this rude, mean stranger at your wedding, or do you not? He isn't going to suddenly turn into a nice person or a good father to you if you let him come. I would absolutely not involve him in the ceremony in any way. Like, he doesn't get a seat at the front, he doesn't get to speak or stand or do anything. Perhaps you and your fiancé would consider walking down the aisle together or on your own. It does not have to be with a father figure, especially not this one who doesn't see you as a daughter. Do what is right for you. Your wedding doesn't exist to fix your family. Someone else chimed in, yes, all of this, OP. I'd hate for you to look at the wedding photos 10 years down the road and be sad because this POS isn't photos with you. You're a gem for wanting to try and make things work, and he's a dick and an idiot for making little to no effort. Op replies, that is a great point about the pictures. That is my most important thing for the wedding, so having him in a ton of pictures will just make me sad when I look back. The next comment says, "Hey, OP. I don't have any great words of wisdom for you other than to say that it sucks and to send you a big dad hug. It's what your dad should be giving you as he walks down the aisle. But in its absence, please accept a hug from a random internet dad who is proud of you and wishes you a wonderful wedding day. Also, it's not your responsibility that your dad has bought a plane ticket and hotel room. Kids of emotionally unavailable parents spend all their time trying to look after their parents' emotional needs in the hopes that their parents might eventually see them and love them. You don't need to look after your dad anymore. He made his choice. Listen to your fiance. It's not now, and it has never been okay for your dad to hurt you. He made his choice to appease his wife rather than be fully with you on your big day. It's okay for you to make your choice to have your wedding without him. It might feel like it would be nice to have an immediate family at your wedding, but having him there would most likely just be a reminder of the love and support you needed and deserve as a child and that you never received." Op replies, "Thank you so much, Internet Dad. I needed to hear this. My mom isn't much better, but I gave up hope with her a long time ago. Seems like I need to give up hope with my dad as well. On the bright side, my aunt and her family are amazing people, so they will be great at the wedding regardless. Since when can you only walk one daughter down the aisle? So if you have 5 daughters, sorry, I have to pick my favorite one. Sucks to be the other 4 daughters. All jokes aside, this is heartbreaking. Ultimately, the decision rests with you and your fiancé, and it's essential to prioritize your own well-being and emotional health. It's admirable that you're considering extending an invitation to your father despite his refusal to fulfill this traditional role. However, it's crucial to weigh the potential impact on your happiness and comfort. If having him present will detract from your joy on your special day, it's entirely valid to reconsider his attendance. Remember, your wedding day should be a celebration of love and unity surrounded by those who genuinely care for you and uplift your spirits, whether your father is physically present or not. What matters most is that you feel supported and cherished by those who surround you. Update 4 months later, on February 21st, 2024. Hello everyone, just wanted to start by saying thank you so much for your kind words and advice on my original post. It made me feel so much better. We had an amazing wedding and honeymoon. Everything went well. My husband wants to thank everyone who said some form of listen to your fiancé. I'll start with what happened right after my 30, female, last post. I did uninvite my dad, 50, male, from my wedding. The whole interaction was too hurtful to let go of. Before telling him I was uninviting him, I spoke with my aunt, his sister Sandy, 50s, female, who was furious at her brother for what he said to me. She has been such a great support to me and my husband, which has been amazing. Honestly, after I sent my dad an email detailing how hurtful he had been and that he was uninvited, Sandy called him and yelled at him for being a jerk. He replied to my email with a bunch of nonsense deflection about how he has to make sure both sides are happy. But apparently, he told Sandy, not me, that he was sorry and that it was a miscommunication. He claims to Sandy that he is only trying to negotiate with me and that he would have walked me down the aisle if that was what I wanted. I highly doubt that. My mother-in-law, who is extremely conservative and religious, actually said my dad needed to grow some balls, which shocked everyone. I replied to him that I stood firm in my decision to uninvite him and not to contact me again until after the wedding. But if he did contact me at all, it better be with the understanding that he needs to be present in my life the same way he is with his other kids, otherwise, not reach out again. Around this time, right before the wedding, I called my mom and asked her about what happened with her and my dad when I was a baby because she never talked about it with me growing up. Unlike my dad and stepmom, my mom never once said anything bad about him to me. She was always neutral and positive about him, which I have since thanked her for, as it let me come to my conclusions about what a deadbeat he is. My mom and I had a good cry about everything, and she let me know how abusive and awful my dad was to her when I was a baby after they split up. I also found out that he married his new wife when I was less than a year old, which is insane considering my parents were still 100% together the day I was born. Sandy swears up and down that she introduced my dad and stepmom to each other after my parents split, as they, stepmom and Sandy, were classmates in college. I don't care at this point. It is just interesting to see how no one has a clear idea of what happened. My thought is that they were cheating and then used Sandy to introduce them to cover up their behavior. Keep in mind they are all very Christian, even though they don't follow any of their religious teachings. I didn't hear anything from my dad during the wedding, and Sandy and her family still came. We all had a blast, and everyone was so happy for us. The pictures turned out great, and there isn't anyone in them that I wish I could Photoshop out, so I knew uninviting my dad ended up being the best decision we could make. I talked to Sandy about my dad over the holidays, and she said that he and his wife's kids were refusing to go to any family dinners or parties because they were upset that everyone else talked to me. I have been in regular contact with Sandy, my Uncle Jerry, and all of their kids, which makes my stepmom feel betrayed. Sandy is pissed at her because they used to be friends but never understood what her issue was with me. I found out my stepmom treated me like crap the second she had her first kid when I was still a toddler, which probably doesn't surprise anyone. I didn't hear from my dad all through December, but finally, in late January, I got a random email from him. He sent a long email blaming me for him not being in my life, telling me his wife and kids are more important, but that we need to still be in each other's lives. It was the most BS email he had sent me so far, and he completely disregarded my wishes back in October when I told him not to contact me unless he was going to treat me like his actual child. I ended up not responding and just blocking his email. I also told Sandy not to share any of the pictures or videos from the wedding with him and not to talk about me with him. I think this will be the end of the relationship with him since he is incapable of being a parent to me. I feel a lot more at peace with everything that happened, and I'm completely okay with how it all turned out. One commenter on my original post said something along the lines of not knowing if my dad would have been a bad parent since he wasn't around, and that has stuck with me. Thinking about it now, he probably would have been even worse had he been in my life. Unfortunately, both my parents are emotionally stunted, but I made good use of the life that was handed to me and will hopefully break the cycle with my kids one day. I didn't mention in my last post that my husband and I are going to be moving to the same state as my family in the next year. I was worried at first about being closer to my dad, but honestly, he and his bitter wife and kids can do whatever they want. I'm just going to live my life how I want to. We were planning on moving to this state before I ever got back in contact with my family, so we will continue to do what is best for us. Anyway, thank you again, kind Redditors. You helped me not feel sad or upset about my wedding day. And here's one last comment from the community. I'm so glad that you had a wonderful wedding. I wish you and your hubby the best in the future. Live the best of your life with hope, faith, and love, the best revenge you can have. P.S. Something to think about. Stepmom may have told your step-siblings that daddy had an affair, and that may be why they hate you. I get to hand it to you, though. Uninviting your dad took some serious co-Jones, and your Aunt Sandy, she's like the MVP of family feuds, swooping in with the righteous anger of a protective mama bear. And then there's your dad, blaming you for his absence while simultaneously begging to be in your life. That's a special kind of delusion right there, and blocking his email, chef's kiss, perfect execution. Moving closer to your family might seem like stepping into the lion's den, but hey, you got a shiny new hubby on your side. What do you make of this? Have you experienced something similar? What would you do? So finally, let's conclude our whole story once again briefly. In the aftermath of my wedding, the decision to uninvite my father proved to be the right one. Amidst the joyous celebration, Sandy and her family stood by me, and we all had a fantastic time. The pictures, capturing the essence of our special day, held no regrets, and I found solace in the absence of a toxic presence. Over the holidays, Sandy revealed that my father, along with his wife and kids, was boycotting family events due to their displeasure that others continued to maintain contact with me. It became evident that my stepmom's animosity had deep roots, as Sandy shared stories of mistreatment dating back to my toddler years. In late January, my father reached out with an email, attempting to shift blame onto me for his absence while paradoxically expressing a desire to remain in each other's lives. Unswayed, I blocked his email and instructed Sandy not to share any wedding memories with him. It marked the decisive end of our strained relationship as his inability to be a parent became increasingly clear. A sense of peace enveloped me, and the words of a wise Redditor resonated. Perhaps my father would have been an even worse parent had he been around. Acknowledging my emotionally stunted parents, I felt empowered to break the cycle for the sake of my future children. Looking forward, my husband and I are set to move to the same state as my family. Initial worries about proximity to my father dissolved as I resolved to live my life authentically. Our decision to relocate had been in motion before reconnecting with my family, and it remains guided by what is best for us. As I conclude this chapter of my life, I extend heartfelt gratitude to the supportive Redditors who helped me navigate a challenging time. Your words provided comfort, and I am now equipped to face the future with hope, faith, and love. The best revenge, as one commenter wisely noted, lies in living my best life. To those who shared their stories, offered advice, and lent a virtual shoulder, thank you. Your collective wisdom transformed a difficult moment into a lesson of resilience and self-discovery. As I started on a new chapter with my loving husband by my side, I am ready to embrace the journey ahead. Thanks for joining us today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click that notification bell before you leave. We'd love to hear your thoughts on today's topic, so feel free to leave a comment. See you next time on Insightful Tales.